Bloody Mary. Bloody Mary. Bloody Mary.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is Pantheon mythology, and this
is Bloody Mary.
If you too want to be like Mary, check out Pantheon Apparel, our clothing brand inspired by myths, folklore, and things that lurk in the dark. We ship worldwide and are rated excellent on Trustpilot. Link in the description. Mirrors at the ready. Let's go. It's just a silly game, apparently. Stand before a mirror, turn off the lights, and say Bloody Mary 3 times. Some believe a candle is needed, its flickering light the only thing separating you from whatever lurks beyond the glass. Others insist you must spin as you speak, making yourself vulnerable, disorientated. Some rituals call for water, splashing it onto the mirror, as if waking something up. And then you wait. What happens next depends on who you ask. Some claim that she appears as a shadow, shifting just behind your reflection. Others swear that she takes the form of a bloodied woman, her empty eyes locking onto yours. Some say she whispers, her breath curling around you in a voice that isn't yours. Others insist she lets out a scream that rattles through your bones. And then there are those who say she reaches out, cold fingers pressing against your skin, nails dragging across your cheek. Some believe she drags people into the mirror itself, trapping them on the other side, leaving nothing behind but their reflection. Her origins are uncertain, tangled in mystery, folklore, and superstition. But if there's one thing we do know, it's that a name spoken into the dark always carries weight. But who is she? And where does she come from? A presence lurking in the dark, responding to those who dare to speak her name. Maybe she's the vengeful spirit of a wronged woman, forever trapped between the living and the dead. Or perhaps she's a demon, something far older than any of the stories told about her. Whatever she isn't bound to a single identity. The name Bloody Mary has been linked to real women throughout history, their stories twisted into legend, their tragedies echoing long after their deaths. One of the most famous theories connects her to Queen Mary I of England, the woman history remembers as Bloody Mary. Born into the ruthless world of Tudor politics, she fought her entire life for legitimacy, only to be remembered as one of the most hated monarchs in English history. Her reign was defined by blood. Hundreds of Protestants burned at the stake as she sought to restore Catholicism, their executions earning her the infamous title. But it wasn't just the public executions that tied her to the legend. Mary's personal suffering ran just as deep. She endured multiple phantom pregnancies, her body swelling, her symptoms undeniable, yet no child ever came. Historians suspect that she suffered from a hormonal disorder or even cancer, but at the time her condition was seen as a cruel curse. Some whispered that God had forsaken her. Others believed that something darker was at work. The image of a grieving, desperate queen haunted by lost children and soaked in blood may have taken on a life of its own, her story mutating into something supernatural. The idea of a woman weeping for stolen children, trapped in a reflection, fits eerily well into the legend of Bloody Mary. But there's another Mary whose name refuses to be forgotten, a woman who never sat on a throne, but who still inspires fear centuries later. An apparent witch named Mary Worth, who lived deep in the woods, shunned by her village. They say she lured children away with promises of sweets, using them in dark rituals to sustain her youth. A murderer. A woman who bathed in the blood of her victims, leaving behind a trail of disappearances. The details of her may change depending on who tells the story, but the ending is always the same. She was caught, dragged from her home, and executed. Either burned at the stake, her screams echoing through the forest as flames consumed her, or she was hanged, her final words a curse upon those who wronged her. And some say she was drowned, her body sunk beneath the surface of a blackened lake, where it still lingers today. Whether Mary Worth ever truly existed is unknown. There are no historical records, no confirmed accounts, but folklore doesn't always need proof, only belief. A belief that some deaths are too violent, too unjust, to simply fade away. Then there's the matter of mirrors. Long before the name Bloody Mary was ever spoken, people feared what they might see in their own reflection. In the Victorian era, death was never far from the home. Families gathered around the dying, laid out the bodies, and performed rituals to guide the souls to the afterlife. One of those rituals involved covering all the mirrors in a house when someone passed. The belief? That if the mirrors weren't covered, the soul of the dead could become trapped, lingering on the other side, unable to move on. It wasn't just a tradition, it was a warning. Even today, mirrors hold an eerie power. They reflect more than just our own image. Stare too long and you might see something shift, something standing just behind you, something watching. The idea that spirits can use mirrors as doorways is older than Bloody Mary herself, and yet she has become one of the most associated with them. So maybe Bloody Mary isn't just one person. Maybe she's all of them. A queen, a witch, a restless spirit. Fear is a powerful thing. It heightens our senses, sharpens our instincts, and primes us to see danger where none exists. It's what kept our ancestors alive in the dark wilderness, where shadows concealed predators and the unknown was often deadly. But fear doesn't always need a real threat. It just needs the expectation of one. And the Bloody Mary ritual is built entirely around that expectation. The dim light, the silence, the steady repetition of her name. It all serves to build tension. Your pulse quickens, your breath shallows, your body prepares for the worst. Even before you see anything, your mind is already on edge. And when the brain is expecting something terrifying, it has a way of delivering. One of the most well-documented visual distortions tied to the legend is troxler fading. Stare at any object for too long and your brain starts to erase details, prioritizing what it thinks is important and ignoring the rest. In a dimly lit mirror, this effect becomes even more extreme. Features blur, edges disappear, and in the absence of your clear input, your mind fills the gaps with what it expects to see. Your reflection stops looking at you. The longer you stare, the more unfamiliar it becomes. Another phenomenon tied to the ritual is the strange face illusion. When you stare at your own reflection in low light, your brain starts scrambling to interpret the details. Facial features warp, distort, or even take on an entirely different form. Some people report seeing their own faces twist into monstrous expressions, others swear they see someone else staring back. Psychologists believe this illusion explains why many who attempt the Bloody Mary ritual claim to see her, not because she's really there, but because their minds are creating something in the void. But the ritual itself is more than just a trick of the eye. It plays on a psychological fear older than the legend itself, the fear of invitation. Bloody Mary isn't a ghost that simply appears, she's something that has to be called. By saying her name, You're acknowledging her, summoning her, even if only in your own mind. That act of invitation carries weight, whether you believe in the supernatural or not. It's why so many people hesitate before saying her name for the third time. And that's what makes her different. Most urban legends are stories of unfortunate victims, people who stumbled into the wrong place at the wrong time. But Bloody Mary demands that you be the one to act. You stand before the mirror. You speak her name. You open the door. It's that combination of psychological tension, expectation, and visual distortion that makes the legend so powerful. Maybe there's nothing there at all. Maybe it's just a reflection warping under the strain of the mind's own fear. Or maybe, just maybe, the moment that you say her name, something really does answer. The legend of Bloody Mary isn't just something people talk about, it's something they do. A ritual passed down through generations, tested in darkened rooms, repeated by those who swear they don't believe, until the moment they stand before the mirror. Even in an age where science explains away the supernatural, people still hesitate before saying her name. But why? Fear isn't rational. It doesn't care what you know. It only cares what you feel. Even when we tell ourselves it's just a story, doubt lingers in the back of the mind. The Bloody Mary ritual preys on that hesitation. It's not just a legend, it's an invitation, a challenge, a line that must be crossed willingly. And that's what makes it so powerful. Most urban legends are cautionary tales, warnings about things beyond our control. But Bloody Mary doesn't happen to people. You are the one who calls her. You are the one who creates the possibility, and that's why, even knowing it's a trick of the eye, even understanding the psychology behind it, most people still won't do it. Because what if they're wrong? What if something really does answer? Maybe the legend has survived because we need it to. Maybe we need proof that there are still things in this world that we can't fully explain. Or maybe, just maybe, Bloody Mary is more than a story, more than an illusion. Maybe she's waiting.